Hi, thanks for being in a new video. This time I have the full review of the Galaxy Tab S9. Let's get started. This is the most basic model of the entire Tab S9 series, which also includes the Plus and Ultra models. I have the case, although this is sold separately for you to consider that important aspect as well. What does come included with your purchase is the S Pen, which as you know sticks to the back to receive wireless charging, and this generation, no matter if you stick the stylus in one direction or another, it will always receive the charge. In Mexico, only the edition with 256 gigabytes of storage and 12 gigabytes of RAM is distributed at 17,999 pesos. On the screen you see the reference price in dollars just to give you an idea, but remember that the prices here are not the same as over there. There is another edition with less RAM and less storage that I guess will be cheaper in other countries. It will possibly be one of the best tablets for those who are looking for a compact tablet that has a lot of power and a lot of features. So let's get to know it in time by point below. This tablet has a very nice aluminum construction, both on the back cover and on the frames, so it feels very well built, very solid and of good quality. It's just 5.99 millimeters thick and weighs 498 grams. On the front we will also find Gorilla Glass in its version 5, and also remember that it can be submerged, so this tablet has IP68 certification and is undoubtedly one of its strongest points to compete head-to-head against the iPad that does not integrate this certification. So this tablet would give you more security to use it even near water without any fear of being damaged. By the way, the S Pen also has IP68 certification, so if it gets dropped in water, nothing will happen to it and you could even draw in the water. To protect it and add more functionality, Samsung offers a variety of cases. In this case, I only have the simplest case that adds the possibility of creating a small tab to serve as a stand. However, Samsung also has cases available for sale that add a keyboard and trackpad. Although these cases are much more expensive, therefore I only purchased the simpler case. Finally, this year, Samsung decided to put an AMOLED screen back in their tablets. And this gives us an unmatched contrast that we haven't seen in Samsung's compact tablets for a long time. So I think this is a good time if you had a Samsung tablet and were considering changing it. This screen is 11 inches and offers us a resolution of 1600 by 2560 pixels with a 16:10 ratio, so it practically has the same ratio as most multimedia content, inviting you very much to use it for watching movies or videos. The screen technology is Dynamic AMOLED 2X, so it gives us very vivid colors, as well as very good brightness and even very good viewing angles. So if you want to use it to watch content in family too, practically all members will have a good experience, even if they are watching the content from the side. The screen offers a very good maximum brightness level, especially considering it's not a tablet you'll commonly use outdoors. And the minimum brightness is also adequate for viewing content at night without hurting your eyesight. It is also good to consider that we are in front of a screen with 120 Hz in its refresh rate, unlike the basic iPads, which are not going to offer us this level of fluidity in all the animations and all the movement that is shown across the screen. So 120 Hz is another strong point if you compare it to the iPad, although if you compare it in the Android market, it is becoming more and more common to find screens of this style, but not with the same quality, as other manufacturers might go as far as sacrificing AMOLED technology, and in exchange they give you IPS technology. This screen is spectacular. The sound is simply spectacular. We have 4 speakers certified by AKG, a company specializing in audio. It's definitely not only a very loud sound, but also very high quality, immersive experience, very good bass power considering the size and how thin this device is. So, what do you say we listen to a little test? Although remember that it's not the same to listen to it live. In sound, speaking of hardware, it is exquisite. So good, complementing the excellent display well, and also in software it comes complete with Dolby Atmos for gaming, an equalizer that you can use to customize your sound experience even without headphones attached, unlike other tablet manufacturers, and it also has the separate app sound feature so that, in case you have connected the tablet to a Bluetooth speaker, you can select which apps you want to play on the speaker and which apps you want to keep playing on the tablet. So every aspect of the sound I love. Next, you're going to hear a recording using the microphones on this tablet.
Esta es una prueba de audio para que logres notar qué bien captan el audio estos micrófonos, que en su mayoría están ubicados en la parte de arriba, teniendo una captación buena para videollamadas, que es para lo que generalmente utilizarás estos micrófonos.
We have two microphones on the top and another microphone on the left side, so it can perfectly pick up stereo sound and can also have noise cancellation algorithms. What we won't have is the headphone jack, so you can connect headphones through the USB-C port, but you won't be able to charge the tablet at the same time, at least not without a special adapter. And if you are going to use wireless headphones, if you want to maintain the highest audio quality, it is recommended that you use Galaxy Buds that have the SBS codec, which Samsung uses in those headphones because they do not integrate high-resolution codecs from other manufacturers. The front camera is 12 megapixels with aperture f2.4, and if we offer video in 4K, this camera I doubt very much that you're going to use it to take selfies, but even in selfies it offers good quality. I like that it has a very wide lens, so for video calls you do not need to stretch your arm too much. Here I have my arms close to my body and now I have my arms stretched, and I really like the amplitude that this camera has. In this case I am in an environment with direct light, although it is already cloudy, but I am next to a window, so the light that reaches my face is high. Now I am in a backlit environment where, in any case, the camera still captures my face well, although there is a little more noise present, but nothing really serious. For video calls it will be spectacular, since most laptops have very simple cameras in this price range even. So if you want a device to make video calls, this one will give you very good quality. And finally, I am in an area where there is very little illumination, just so you notice that here it can suffer a little more than expected, but still it captures colors well. Just the level of detail is not so high, but notice how by simply turning on an artificial light it will be able to illuminate you enough to raise the level of detail very dramatically. On the back we have a 13 megapixel camera with autofocus and f2.0 aperture. It also has the ability to record video in 4K. And something I like is that it is also capable of detecting the edges of a document if you want to scan it, as well as reading QR codes. As is well known, I usually don't focus much on the camera on tablets because it's not that advisable to take pictures with such a big device. But if you need it, if it offers good photography, good colors, good detail, even good dynamic range, then in every aspect I think it takes good pictures. Similarly, video recording can be in 4K, so in that sense it feels like a high-end experience, although I wouldn't record that much with a device this big. But anyway, it even has good stabilization, good colors, but if you need good lighting because indoors it starts to suffer a little bit more. This tablet comes with Android Trevi and One UI 5.1, running as part of its software. In both cases, we see the most recent versions of both Android and Samsung. We have an extremely mature operating system, which in this screen size still seems ideal to me. Unlike the Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra, where it craves more that it incorporates Windows instead of Android. In addition, Samsung promises 4 years of Android updates and 5 years of security patches. Let me highlight below some of the most important things, for example, the DeX mode, with which we can transform the Android interface to an interface much more similar to what we would find on a Windows computer. That is, we are going to have multiple windows that we can move along the screen and notice how all the apps are running in this same way. We can open our file manager, our gallery, absolutely everything in this windowed format, although I insist that by having a screen size a little more compact, perhaps it does not get to take advantage of as much as it could get to take advantage of the Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra, but definitely that it is very comfortable to have this multi-screen experience plus the taskbar that we have at the bottom to switch applications comfortably. In fact, within this DeX mode, we can also use an external display to keep the traditional tablet interface here 7 and have on the external monitor this Windows-like interface. And remember that you can perfectly connect that screen via cable or wirelessly. Outside of DeX mode, we also have access to the sidebars. We simply have to drag and drop. We can open a split screen immediately, or we can open the application in floating format. And we can also open multiple apps in this format, so we don't necessarily have to use DeX mode to be able to open these things this way. The apps are minimized in a bubble format, and you can also close them easily. The S Pen, in conjunction with Samsung Note, would be another standout tool, as it allows you to take freehand notes very easily. Samsung has a lot of experience making this stylus, so from my point of view, it's the best in the industry. It even works underwater. It doesn't interfere with your hand even if you're close. The screen also recognizes when it's your hand and when it's the stylus. It's sensitive to different levels of pressure and even the tilt you put on the stylus. And it also has Bluetooth, so you can use some other tools with the special button it has, for example. If you're in the gallery, you can press the button to go to the next picture. Here it gives us a brief tutorial. Also, with 2 taps you can go to the previous one, or you could also use it on the camera to take pictures simply with 1 tap. Again, the first time it gives us the tutorial, but after that, just like that, you can take pictures with the stylus. And through Samsung Notes, you can import various PDFs for editing. We have endless brushes available, including some special markers, quick shortcuts, and cloud syncing, so it's present on all your devices at the same time. But as good as Samsung Notes is, Samsung has decided to add GoodNotes to its pre-installed apps in order to attract more iPad users. If you already have a lot of notes synced on GoodNotes, you can log in here and they will remain. Although personally I would recommend you more to use Samsung Notes because it has a lot more tools, but I insist that in case you already have all your notes here, you can still sync and import them. You're also going to have all the functionality that Deposit offers in this app. The S Pen also allows you to enter text in any field. You just start typing and that's it. The S Pen can also help you navigate the menus of web pages in a very easy way without the need to touch the screen. Likewise, when browsing your gallery, more options can appear without the need to touch the screen, simply by holding the S Pen on top of it. Samsung also has available modes and routines where you can automate all kinds of things on your tablet depending on the time, your location, even connected devices, or when you open an application that automatically makes some adjustments. It may be useful in case you want to open Samsung Notes. For example, the screen becomes a little less bright, a night light filter is enabled, or similar things. Samsung also has a feature called Daily Panel where you can customize what things you want to appear when you are loading your tablet, or you can start it immediately if you add the shortcut to the application screen. With this, you can make your tablet also work as a kind of smart display, showing you the time and a little more information. You can even start drawing around here with the S Pen if someone in the family wants to leave a message, or you can have your SmartThings device dashboard connected to the Internet of Things to turn on the lights in your house or air conditioning and the like. Finally, in the gallery, remember that Samsung also includes a very good editor where you can select a draft of objects and simply touch the objects. If you want to delete, choose the delete button and there's the result. Sometimes it is very good, sometimes not so good, but you can make other attempts to finish polishing the result. And just like the iPad, you can get to select text if you press and hold on some video or image, or you can also get to extract stickers or similar things by pressing and holding on some objects, although not all of them are recognized 100% effectively. You can also drag and drop content from one application to another very easily using 2 fingers. Let me create a new note so I can drop it here, and just like that you can have it in your notes without further complication. So, Samsung's software seems to me to have reached a very high level of maturity, and that's why I could consider it as a strong point. Oh, and for those who think that Android has no optimized apps, let me show you the calculator app that the Galaxy Tab does include as opposed to the one that has no calculator app, and more apps are optimized to show a sidebar and make good use of the space that is here on screen. Although it must be said that the stigma of stretched apps remained, because for many generations apps were not optimized to display content well on large screens. However, nowadays I think that is a thing of the past. Security is also well complemented in this device. For starters, they offer a modern touch, and this reader certainly works very well, although it does not allow us to register as many fingerprints as we would like. It only allows us to add up to 3 different fingerprints, so there is not as much versatility for family members, but fortunately it does have a function to create multiple user profiles. So you could very well create a few profiles or add your guest profile so they can't access your main space and have their own apps and everything is completely separate. I just switched to this guest profile and notice how it doesn't have the same applications that my main profile has. Obviously, when I go back to the main profile, it is going to ask for my fingerprint before logging in, and this space is going to be with all the apps that I have previously selected. In fact, for a family use, we will also find here the Samsung Kids mode, although it is a bit hidden. Once you find it, you can enable it, and this is a safe environment where there are applications that Samsung has designed especially for children in case you want to download them, or also the child could go to discover some new applications in case you give him permission. Also, in the parental control section, we will be able to find some other options to limit the screen time that the child can have. Also, set a time to go to sleep and give permission to use some applications or access files and music that we already have on the tablet. Obviously, to exit child mode, the child must first verify with the fingerprint that it is you. On the Samsung keyboard, we will also find access to Samsung Pass, which is another security tool. Verifying with your fingerprint, you can access your password keychain. You will also have here the ability to store notes you want to enter and securely store. Also addresses or even card numbers, all protected by your fingerprint. For a comfortable unlocking, you also have the option of facial recognition, although it is only in 2 dimensions, and if you want even more comfort, you could enter Smart Lock, so that the device remains unlocked in secure environments such as your home or while connected to a Bluetooth device. And if you ever lose your tablet, remember that you have the option to find it even if it loses connection. Simply enable this option, and if you are near a Galaxy device, can send you the location to find it from SmartThings Find. As you can see, security is also very complete. The battery is 8400 milliamps. It seems to me that it is a good capacity, but we should not get carried away only by the capabilities, because in my test the truth is that it performed quite well. Lately I have not tested so many tablets, but it yielded an hour more than another tablet with a similar battery capacity. Then it seems to me that Samsung has done a good job in optimizing the entire system also if you have a basic power saving mode, but even has more extreme power saving mode that will allow you to restrict everything and perhaps only keep essential applications in an emergency case. But it is not 100% necessary to enable this mode, as if you have the simple power saving mode. Although they don't include a charger, it does support a 45-watt charge, although I must say that it doesn't charge as fast as it would seem. In 15 minutes, it recovered 24% of the energy, and in 30 minutes, it reached 49%, taking an hour and a half to charge to 100%. So the charging doesn't seem to me to be the most spectacular thing, but it has improved over past generations. Remember that to take care of the battery, if you need to leave it connected all the time to the current, you must enable this option to charge only up to 85, and the battery retains its useful life for longer. The charger must be purchased separately, but if you are already part of the Galaxy ecosystem, you may already have a charger for your phone and you can use it here. Let's do a performance test now by showing you several tabs open in the browser and see how we can interact between them without any problem. This tablet comes with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy processor, a processor that has received very good reviews from all those who have tested it, so we are sure that it will give you a good performance. In this case, you're probably going to be using a lot of web pages for browsing. Very similar to what you do on a laptop, and notice that it works quite well. I have multiple tabs open at the same time, and we have seen that none of them have restarted with these 12 gigabytes of RAM included. I keep scrolling through a lot of other tabs and none of them have restarted, so we really have good performance as long as you stay within the browser. Because if you get to exit the browser and go to another application, it's likely that some tabs will start to restart, but let's check this out for ourselves anyway. What I'm telling you, I'm going to open also the calendar, we're going to open the calculator, the gallery as well, and now we're going to go back to the web browser just to see if everything is still there running, and as you notice, it's surprising us by maintaining excellent performance. So I think this tablet can certainly be used for multiple jobs at the same time. Also consider that you could put a micro SD card in it to extend the storage even more. Now let's test how long it takes to export 4 clips stitched together in 4Ks, totaling about a minute, and we'll wait for this device to finish exporting to show you how long it took. That's it, about 20 seconds. The truth is that it took very little time, so for video work I think it's a very good option as well. Finally, for games, like any Galaxy device, it has Game Launcher where you have all your games collected and even have the ability to run content without installing it thanks to the Instant Play function. You can also connect your Discord account to chat with your friends while you are playing, and you can configure the Game Booster, which is the tool that can be run while you are already playing. For example, you can select if you want to save battery or prioritize performance, which is very useful sometimes. When opening a game, we will have the option to run this game booster to avoid the priority mode and avoid any interruption. We can also open an application in floating mode while we are in our game to answer a message or notification. We can take screenshots or also screen recordings, besides blocking this screen while the game is downloading some content, but the game keeps running in the background. In fact, we also have the possibility to download more add-ons through the Galaxy Store, so that among them we can show the frames per second at which the game is running, shooting assists, and many other tools. In Call of Duty by default, it loads very high quality at maximum frame rate. In this case, despite the fact that the maximum graphic quality option appears, it appears that it is not yet available, and that is something simply curious. If we go up to ultra frame rate, we can use it, but it lowers the quality to medium. Being in very high with the maximum rate, yes, we can use a lot of effects in real time thanks to the Snapdragon processor. We first did the test with the maximum rate with the highest possible quality, and it gave us a very good performance without a doubt. On this screen size, maybe you can still play without Gamepad Auto, and from my point of view, the ideal will be to play with it. We have good temperature management, good performance, and because it's not as big, unlike the Ultra model, it can become not as tiring as it could be with larger screens. With the Ultra rate, we also had a very good performance with a lot of stability. You do notice the 90 frames per second it is running thanks to the screen having a fairly high refresh rate. You also have to consider that, having a stereo sound system, it is a very good experience when you are playing. Only if you play the game holding the tablet in your hands, you could end up covering 2 speakers, but fortunately there are still the other 2 speakers free. In Legends, it loads automatically, but for the test we turned it up to Ultra at 60 frames per second. The result was also very good, although we noticed that after a minute and a half of playing practically constant at 120 frames per second, it bumped the performance to 60 frames per second, probably so as not to get too hot. Although it's curious because the external temperature on the tablet really wasn't very high. So it maintains a very good gameplay with a lot of fluidity, but yes, we could get to see these little details of bumping the performance in exchange for having a better temperature. On SpongeBob, we also selected the epic quality with everything on the highest setting for the test, and again it gave us very good quality gameplay. It only had one moment where it slightly dropped its frames per second rate, but pretty much all the time it stayed at 60, so it's a good experience. Obviously, like any device, it will not be 100% free of some complicated moment, but it does give you a very good gameplay thanks also to the good screen and the good sound it has. Lastly, in Henshin Impact by default, it gives us the medium graphics quality, But for the test, we also turned it up to very high, and also noticed that we turned it up to 60 frames per second, and the motion blur we also set it to very high. This is the hardest test we can have, and it definitely performed very well as well. There were a few brief moments where the frames dropped there close to 45, but overall it stayed very stable around 60 frames per second. It definitely gives us a very good gameplay, so if you are looking for a device with a large screen to play this type of content, this device will deliver. Although I repeat, the most advisable will be to use a gamepad for the dimensions of the tablet. But still, this 11-inch tablet could be considered to play simply with the virtual buttons. The performance was very good with slight moments of frame loss. However, it maintains a very good fluidity while giving you advanced graphics. For the moment, we have reached the end of this video review. If you liked it, you can let us know, and we'll see you next time.